Hey everyone, it's Rachel here. I'm an Oracle spiritual healer and teacher. Um, and today I want to look at uh, health regarding our current um, president, which is so hard for me to say. And I haven't been doing any videos regarding much politics or anything like that. And it's sort of a funny time because, we're on this platform and there are things that you can say, you can't say, you have to, you know, like I have to put up this for entertainment purposes only because it's oracle reading, right? And which you would think it wouldn't be necessary to have to put that up, but I guess for the censors you do. And I just realized the video I just finished was probably I used some words I wasn't supposed to use. So we'll see what happens. But I'd like to look at his health. And this is just a reading, right? It's an energetic reading. I've never seen him making it through this year. When I was looking into last year before the election, my guides just always saw or showed me him fading away. And I would always look at through the context of being a president, but also just, in politics and around, and him fading away. And I was never sure if that meant passing or just that he would just be pushed into the background. But now I think, looking at the information, that's clear, that's obvious when you look at him. And and what's not being shared. There are some major health issues going on. So I want to just take a look at, I just keep looking at my little list that I wrote of what I want to cover. So I just want to look at his health and see what's coming up around that. So again, entertainment purposes only, as well as spiritual purposes. We're just looking at the energy of the matter. And I'm going to use the Celtic Cross. It's a spread for this. And I think it can be helpful because I don't read tarot, and tarot is its own system. When you do oracle readings, it's much looser than that, right? There's much more interpretation. And I wouldn't even say what I'm doing is interpreting the cards, right? That would be more like tarot, like you're interpreting the cards. I'm getting information. So the card is just eliciting something in me to listen or to see or to hear something my guides are wanting to show me. So it's not my personal interpretation. So just to be clear, that's not how I work. Maybe other people work differently than that. But I don't. So first card, the heart of the matter, regarding our current president's health. Again, for entertainment purposes only. Medicine power. I love that this card came out because he is sort of being propped up by medicine. Lots of medicine being put into him, doctors making sure he's okay, that he's able to function. Not all of the medicine. Yeah, there's a lot of medicine we can take that's not actually good for our bodies, right? It's not curing anything, just sort of keeping the engine going. And that's sort of where he is right now. So that's the heart of the matter. There's not a lot of life force left in him. It's like sure will. It's just his will almost that's sort of keeping him alive. But vital energy, life force energy, there's very little left. And so this medicine is keeping him chugging. So helpful or energy for this, or positive or negative energy, either supporting or taking away from that court issue. This is what we're going to look at next. Breakthrough. There's going to be a break. There's going to be a shift. There's going to be a change. Or that medicine's going to stop working. It's going to not be as effective anymore. More will be revealed. The truth of his health will come out because the medicine won't be having the same effect anymore. The root of this matter. Self-esteem. This also has to do with, I know it says self-esteem, but it's a little bit different than that. Yeah, it's like his, the ego. He doesn't want to admit to any of this. He doesn't feel good about his health. He doesn't really want to talk much about it. He sort of just wants it to go away. He just wants to be better. It's like he doesn't really want to look at it. It is affecting how he feels about himself. So that's the self-esteem part. But he can't even really be that honest with himself about it. It's there. He knows it's inevitable, right? The passing, that there's no sort of way back to health. There's no way back to full health from where he is right now. This is not something he can recover from. Okay, so in the past, peace. That was him. Yeah, he was perfectly happy, right? He was getting all the things he wanted. Contentment is a better word, really. Right? There's not a contentment card in this deck. Peace would be the closest thing, but yeah, him feeling like there's nothing to worry about. All his ducks are in a row, that sort of thing. Hanging over this matter. Creation. Creating something new. In some ways, he's standing in the way of creating something new, but he's also sort of the catalyst for that, creating something new. So he's definitely this sort of breaking point, whether it's going to happen with his passing or him getting out of office, entertainment purposes only. Creation, it's something new is sort of hanging over this whole thing. Like, this is what's trying to take place. A new president, a new, new ways in the government working for the people. All of that. That's what that card is symbolizing. In the near future. Gratitude. Oh. What does that have to do with? Regarding Trump's health, gratitude in the near future. What they're saying to me, it's so interesting. What they're saying to me, it's like he's going to start this process of realizing what he needs to be grateful for, being grateful for people in his life that have supported him in these ways that he's actually really needed the support. People being loyal to him. And it's interesting because right before we pass, we all go through this period of reflection, looking over our life. And I'm not talking about like tragic deaths. That's different. But especially when we get older, right, and we sort of go through our whole process of life, all the stages of life, we go through this period of reflection, looking back over the what we perceive to be mistakes, what we perceive to be blessings, all of our experiences, and we sort of try to come to peace with all of it so that we can then pass on. So it's like he's going to go through that phase, and this feels much more personal. It doesn't feel so outward. A much more internal process for himself. Internally, what's happening? Self-mastery. Oh, interesting. Okay. So self-mastery is about knowing thyself, and mastering sort of your mind and your feelings. For him, it's mastering the mind, his mind. That's how they're putting it. Him mastering his mind, holding himself together. And they're saying to make it to the final conclusion. Yeah. It's like it's like he's not going to pass until all the stuff around him is sort of exposed. Not full and completely, right? Not every single detail, but I just did a video looking at the bigger picture of the Epstein files and what they represent. It's like that has to happen first, right? That information has to be revealed first. Not that he's held accountable for everything he's done, but that some of this bigger stuff has to be revealed. So waiting for the final conclusion before he moves on, before he gets pushed out, before new creation takes place. Okay, external energy. Balance. We're trying to bring everything back into balance, right? Not these extremes of wealth, not these extremes of poverty, not the extremes of powerless, right? We're trying to bring everything back into balance. So that's what's happening externally. And yeah, okay. Moving on. Hopes and fears. God, yeah, everything gets cleared up. The goddess of water represents the purification. And just like in the last reading, some people are going to fear it and some people are going to want it. So some people it's their fear, some people it's their hope. Everything gets cleared up. It's purified. Final outcome. Again, regarding his health right now and the situations around his health. Final outcome. Expression. Let me pull another card. Final outcome. And then I'll read on both. Guardians. One more. And grace. Yeah. So, expression, guardians, and grace. Expression is him. It's like him expressing himself, getting everything out. How they're showing it to me is like as these things get exposed, and it's really his base, as his base actually see him for who he is more and more. Some will sort of stay in that illusion place. But many are getting clear, right? So as his base starts to see him for who he is, it's like we need to see that expression, his voice. We need to see how he's going to handle all this. We need to see like him on the other side of being exposed. That wants to take place. The guardians, again, this whole process is being watched over. But the other thing, this says like the guardians of passing on. That's how they're putting it. The guardians, you can think of it like angels or your spiritual guides, your spiritual team, assisting with the passing over process. And then there's the grace that comes in. See if you can see that. So what came to me right away was the grace of passing, coming back into grace, but it's also bringing like this process of grace back into our system. Um, yeah, bringing grace back into our system, into the process, letting that energy in, because how it's sort of showing to me, and it's not quite, all the puzzle pieces aren't quite there yet, but the Epstein files, that case, again, I just did a video on it, but that's sort of being something that's going to help shift things, expose things, and he has to be present for all of that. He has to sort of get exposed. We have to see him on the other side of this, his expression, who he is, how he responds to the other side, right? Once he is exposed. And then, I don't see him right now. I don't see him in, jail. Again, I just see him, yeah, like fading away after that, passing away sometime after that. So obviously the timeline moves, right? That's why timelines are funny like that. They can be set in one direction and then things can shift and be sent off into a different direction. So how long this process will take, it's going to take longer than a month. But it's possible sometime before the end of the year. So I'm going to check on this again. Again, entertainment purposes only, and spiritual purposes. So that's that. I hope that was helpful for you. It was enlightening for me. And I'll see you next time. Bye.